Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first installment of Cooking Off Dylan Hollis' book. I'll come up with a better name later. So today we're going to be cooking the very first recipe. It is, I believe, Pecan Dandies is the proper name of it. It's pretty much a brown sugar with, I believe, an egg mixed all together with pecans in it, and pretty much it comes together and makes this pretty good little biscuit little thing. It's almost kind of like the cookie of a macaroon. That's kind of the consistency that it kind of comes out to. I made this once before, so I did it live when I first started this book, and it was an absolute train wreck. It's deleted, gone forever now, as it should be. But so when we did it that time, they turned out pretty good. But yeah, so now we're actually going to film it, and it's just gonna be a normal video. That way, we are doing what we know, So let's see here. Okay, Pecan Dandies. That's what we're on, and this part. So I really like Dylan's book because it kind of breaks it up by year. So if you see right there, he has every decade that he has the recipes for. So it's I think the 1900s through the 1980s. So it's pretty much 1900s through the 1930s, and then we have a section just labeled dates. And then it's through to the 50s where we get no bakes, and then through the 60s all the way to the 80s, and then at the very end of the book we have the worst of the worst. I'm excited to get there, but it's going to be a minute since we have to do all of these other recipes, and in total, ending at the worst of the worst is 240 recipes. So this is going to take a thick minute, but we'll get there. So, yeah, let's get started on the Pecan Dandies. So, actually, real quick before we do start on that, another thing I really like to point out about Dylan's book is, unlike some cookbooks where it talks about folding and, stiff peaks, stuff like that, they don't really go through what that is, and some people who are new to baking might not know what that is. Well, he goes through, somewhere in this book, let me find it here, he goes through what all that means. It's somewhere here in the back, actually, I believe. But he doesn't only go through that. He goes through the different tools that you might need if you're getting new into baking. He has a pie crust recipe and a vanilla buttercream recipe, which I will be using a lot because I've used a couple different recipes just from online, and they have not ended well. Okay, I can't seem to find the page, but it's in there, promise. But, so yeah, let's get started. So let me find the recipe again. It's right back here. Okay. So first things first, we're going to preheat our oven to 350. Let me do that real quick. Bake 350. Start. Okay. Now, for some of you who have watched me for a little bit, you will notice that we're not in the normal kitchen, and that is because we moved. So if you follow my parents on Chapel Hill Forge, you'll have a full update. If you don't watch them, go do, because you can pretty much get an entire timeline. So let me think, though. We bought the house in February, and we just finished fully moving, I would say, in June. So we've been living here fully for about 2 or so months now. And yeah, so this is the kitchen. This is the fridge. That is the countertop. And that is the oven. I know, really, really fancy stuff. And then the dining room is over there. And we'll do a house tour sometime, maybe in some other video. But for now, we're just going to stick here. So now that we have our oven preheated, let me try to... Okay, nope, that's not gonna work. Oh shoot, I'll be right back. Baking and stuff on video can be kind of complicated, so luckily we live with a guy who has this very nice tripod, so that's what we're gonna be using for most of the shots now from here on out. Okay, be back soon. Okay, I am back, and now we have all the ingredients that we need, so let's begin. Okay, so we have our oven preheated to 350. Now, evenly spread half the pecans on a baking sheet and toast them for 10 minutes. Remove the nuts from the oven and let them cool. Reduce the oven heat to 275. Now, real quick before we continue, I think I should note that the ingredients for this is a 1.5 cups of pecan halves, one white... Wait, the white of one large egg. The white of one large egg. There we go. And a cup of brown sugar. So these pecans, they're already chopped. So I'm just gonna sprinkle them here on the sheet. There we go. We did have whole pecans, but I couldn't find them. So we're just going to do these, and I should probably measure them because it says to measure them. So there we go. And that was the entire bag of pecans. Literally, that was it. Oh, it's a cup and a half of pecans even. Oh, we don't have enough pecans. Okay, well we'll be fine. We'll be good. We're good. Okay, so now we're going to sprinkle them on our sheet. And these are more of pecan like quarters than eighths, but I think it should be fine. We might just throw them in for a little less time. So evenly spread the pecans on a baking sheet and toast them for 10 minutes. Okay, let me bring you guys over here to the oven. Wow, great shot. Okay, we're going to throw them in there for 350, right? Yep, 350. And Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Awesome. You know, she is really handy when she actually works. Okay, we're going to sit you guys back down there. And let me see here. So we're going to let this rest for 10 minutes. But for right now, in a bowl of a stand mixer fitted with a whisk attachment or a large bowl with a electric hand mixer can be used too. We're going to beat the egg whites until they have stiff white peaks. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think we might just move on over here to the trusty KitchenAid. Here, let me angle that up a little bit for you. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay. Oh, jeez. I'm telling you, this thing weighs, like, at least 5 pounds. Oh, wait, that's right. It's already plugged in. I forgot. Never mind, though. We're just going to put you right like that. Perfect. Okay. So, we're going to put up our head and grab our whisk. So this is, for people who do not know, this is our whisk attachment. This is what you will use for anything that you want a lot of air in, your buttercreams, whipping eggs, anything that you want nice and light and fluffy, this is what you're going to use. And then you have your paddle. This is for general mixing. So if, say you're mixing cookies, you could use that for that, or you could use a whisk for cookies, but it could get stuck in here. It could actually bend this, maybe, probably. So you're probably just better off using this for your cookies and your stiffer batters. And then you have your dough hook. So there's a lot more attachments. These are just the ones that we have, and if you're starting out with a KitchenAid, you might probably have or want to have. But this is a dough hook. So again, you could use this for cookies, but this is typically used for kneading your bread. So typically when you make homemade bread, you knead it on the counter, or there are no knead recipes. Or here on this channel, I actually have a video on how to make bread in the food processor if you want to just skip all those and just plop it right in your food processor. Anyway, so yeah, those are your basic attachments for if you're getting into a KitchenAid. Those are probably the ones that you're going to want to have. But today we're just going to use our whisk since we want to get these eggs nice, or this egg, sorry, nice and light and fluffy. So we got that fitted, and now we're going to come back over here and we're going to grab our egg. This one, it's very nice. And yes, thank you for asking. It is a egg that one of our chickens like. That's why I love you guys. You always ask so many questions. I appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to take our egg, and actually we need a bowl. We have a bowl. Here, let me angle this down just a tad bit. There we go. Okay, so as far as separating our oat yolk from the white, yes, I say yolk because silent letters are stupid. I like to crack my eggs on the counter because if I crack them on the side of the bowl, shells can go inside and then you get shells in your egg, and that is not very good. And that's just perfect. Our yolk broke. So typically, that's not the best because I like to go in there with my hands and just pull out the yolk. but when the yolk breaks, it makes it a little hard. Okay, that was a failure. We're okay. Okay, we'll be back with a new egg. Okay, we're back now. And I'm back with a new egg and a new bowl. Since I put the other egg in the fridge, we'll cook that up as an omelet later, or we might just feed it back to the chickens and get more eggs from that egg. That's the great thing about chickens. Any food scraps turn into eggs. Anyway, tap it on the counter and try not to break the yolk this time. Aw, perfect. Okay, throw your egg shells into your compost bin if you have one, or back to your chickens if you have chickens, because the eggshells are high in I forget what, but it's pretty much the same reason you give clam shells to your chickens. It helps make a thicker shell. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our yolk, and this yolk broke as well, but we got it, not too much yolk in the white. And we're going to simply just throw this over here back to the chickens. And now it's all over my hand, and now I need to wash my hand. Okay, and now we're back. Okay, this is our egg whites. Yeah, there is a little bit of yolk in there, but it shouldn't mess anything up. So, for those who do not know, your egg whites and your egg yolks are two completely different things, used for completely different things. Your egg whites are the, as I said, the stuff in the bowl, the clear kind of snot stuff, and then your yolk is the yellow part. Your yolk is typically used for breading chicken. If you're doing a fried food, fried chicken, zucchini, something like that, you would dip it in your flour first, then your egg, back in the flour to get a good crispiness on it. But your yolk is typically used for a more good meringue. I once made a pavlova. I actually made 3 pavlovas. And you use your egg whites as your meringue base. And maybe if we have enough comments, oh yes, I'm 13 now, so now I get to have comments. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You could be the very first comment on this video and the very first comment ever on this channel. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, well, how did I get started on this? Oh yes, egg whites. I get distracted a lot. Your egg whites are used for the meringues or your frostings sometimes, but for now we are going to use them as our stiff, or use them in our dandies today. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them in here and turn this onto high until we get nice stiff peaks. And this is quite interesting because typically there is a lot more eggs when you're making when you're stiffening up your eggs. There's typically a lot more eggs, because right now I don't know how that's gonna go, because there is not a lot. There we go. There's not a lot of whites in there, so I'm interested to see how this is gonna go. So let's see here. We're going to drop this down. Make sure you always lock your head, and then we're going to turn on to 2, and then faster, and then faster. There we go. Okay, now we got it turned up to 8. It's quite loud in here. But we're going to let that stiffen up, and I'll come back, and we'll shut it off so we can talk at a normal volume. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're back now. And we're going to unlock our head. And so when we talk about these stiff peaks, that is what we're looking for. We're looking for, come on, focus. We're looking for when I pull the whisk out, you kind of see a little peak right there, and it's holding up pretty good. It's kind of hard to see on camera. Oh, there we go. Kind of see it right there. That is what we're looking for, so that is now good to go. While that was mixing, our pecans, sorry. They finished toasting, and they are looking lovely. Nice toasted hue to them. So they are good to go. And so now we're going to take our, we're going to beat the whisk because we want all that lovely, fluffy egg goodness. Okay, I think that's good. And quick PSA for your KitchenAid. I was watching a America's Test Kitchen video on the Pavlova, actually. And one of the girls had it turned up to 10 and then slammed it back. That is very not good for your machine because all up inside here is gears and stuff, and they need to be taken care of and greased. And if your KitchenAid needs greased, I have a deal for you because my dad greases and does maintenance for KitchenAids. So if you are in the PA area, or I believe we can have, if you are able to ship them out, we can do them as well. If you ship them out, we can re-grease them. And we shall do any new parts that need inside of them. I believe it is $75 for just the re-greasing. I'll put it up on the screen if I was wrong. And then any price for parts. So yeah, that is a very, very good thing. If you are hearing clanking noises, or it's been a long time since you got your KitchenAid. We know this one is really old. It's, I think, like pushing 30. And my grandmother's, actually, one of hers, I think it's like her, I think it was like her mom's or something like that. So like it's at least like 45 some odd years, I think. I'll put again up on the screen if I'm wrong. But so yeah, make sure that you don't slam your gears back, and make sure you go nice and slow to keep everyone happy inside of the cap here. Anyway, we're going to take our eggs back over to here. And let me flip this around real quick so you guys can see what's going on, because what's the point of watching a educational YouTube video if you can't see what you're actually supposed to be learning about? It's useless, I know. Okay, now that we have everything here, it is time to mix. So we have our egg whites there, and reading the book, it says in the bowl, oh yes, that's the Stiff Peaks. Gently fold in brown sugar, the mixture will deflate. So we need a spatula, which is over here. And using our spatula, we will fold in the brown sugar. And some of you might be asking, what does it mean to fold? I know how to fold my laundry, but I'd never heard of folding in my ingredients during baking. And you might be with some of the general public. And folding is when you take your ingredients, and instead of mixing it really hard or beating it, you take it and you kind of flop it over. I'll demonstrate here in just a minute. But so pretty much we're going to put our brown sugar here in our cup. Try not to spill it everywhere. Like so. And typically when you measure normal sugar, normal sugar, you kind of just scrape it across the top. But with brown sugar, we typically pack it. So I believe some recipes don't call for packed brown sugar. It kind of just calls for brown sugar. But typically the rule of thumb is packed brown sugar. So pretty much you pile it on top and just kind of pack it down, smooth it across, and there's your brown sugar. So a cup of brown sugar goes in there with our egg whites. We'll move that out of the way. And we'll bring this mixture over here. And so this is the folding. So pretty much you take your spatula, there we go, and flop, and go back in, flop. So we're going to fold in our ingredients. And folding is a much gentler way of combining your ingredients. It kind of, it's not as violent, and we're all about not as much violence, so we're going to just nice gently fold in our ingredients. And as you can see, the mixture has kind of deflated, it's become thicker, it's become brown, and it's become this very nice kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, but it looks delicious is what it is. Anyway, this is actually, so this does not make much dough, actually. I can't, yeah, there you go. But, so you could probably do like a double batch, obviously. Just double all of the ingredients. So now, what we're going to do is, let's see, roughly chop the cooled pecans and fold them into the mixture. So again, we're going to be doing some more folding. And we need to back our heat down on our oven down to, I believe it's 250, right? 275, sorry. So, and then we're going to back her down to 275. There we go, 275. Okay, and make sure that your baking sheet is cold or cool before you touch it, because we don't want anyone getting burnt around here. Anyway, we're going to dump in our pecans. Again, trying to make sure that they don't go everywhere. There we go. And again, we're going to be folding. We're going to bring it up, fold, and bring it up, fold. And continue folding until all of them are combined. It shouldn't take too terribly long. These ones are actually already pretty much combined. So now with your pecan brown sugar egg mixture, we are now going to plop them onto our cookie sheet. So as you can see here, we're going to drop a level tablespoon or small cookie scoop into a parchment-lined baking sheet, and then we'll bake them at 275 for 17 to 18 minutes. And then actually here he says the macaroon, so that's what kind of where I got the description. And I do believe that they do kind of have a macaroon consistency to them, but they should still appear wet, and let them cool completely on a baking sheet, and then store in an airtight container. So that's exactly what we'll do. So again, plop you guys right back over here, and let's see. There we go, perfect. Okay, so he calls to do like a level tablespoon or a small cookie scoop. But here we're just going to use a nice baby food spoon. So pretty much just going to take a small plop. Actually, no, we're not. We need parchment paper. And I don't know where that is. So while I find that, yeah, I'll just shut you guys down here for a minute. I will be back. Okay, I'm back now. So the cool part about having a mom who owns a freeze dryer, we have these reusable, pretty much, parchment paper sheets that we put on our freeze dryer trays. So that is what we'll be using today. Also, the thing I said earlier about doing a double batch and whatever, once you add the pecans, you actually practically double your amount of dough. So I think it's just by adding the pecans, you add a lot of volume to it. So we're going to do approximately, maybe, kind of ish, a tablespoon ish, kind of, maybe. It's a very, very scientific, very even, everyone is exactly the same, completely same measurements. So we're just going to throw 4 in the corners to kind of help keep it down. There we go. And now we're just going to plop them out. And then we'll throw them in the oven at 275 for, I believe, 10 to 18 minutes? Something like that. I'm looking, sorry. Sorry, 17 to 18 minutes. And then, yeah, we'll pop them in there, and then I'll show you guys the finished product here in a bit. Okay, so they're now all plopped out. Like I said, very scientific, very even. No one, doesn't have more than the other, and vice versa. So now we're going to plop them in our 275 oven. There we go. And Alexa, set a timer for 17 minutes.
17 minutes, starting now.
Thank you. Okay, so I will check back in with you guys in about 17 minutes, and I'm just going to get this stuff cleaned up. Okay, we are back now, and the dandies are done. They're here in the oven. They look oh so delicious. And, ooh, there we go. And you can notice that they didn't really rise much, and that's because they don't have a leavening agent in it. So any baking powder or baking soda, none of that. So they didn't really rise. They kind of just expanded. So they still look a little wet, but it did say that they will look like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to please do not put my dogs on Feet Finder. That was a mistake. I regret it already. Anyway, grab a cooling rack. Oh crap. I'll deal with it later. We're gonna put that there. And, okay, we gotta fix this. Perfect. We're gonna come over here, and no, we're not. We're gonna come over here. Grab our trusty spatula. And we're just going to plop. Whoa. Okay, I'll be back. Okay. So we got them baked. I added 3 more minutes to the time just to kind of crisp them up a little bit. And this is our finished product. They're so cute and lovely and delicious. So, yeah, that is this video. I finished it outside because my parents got home and they're talking and I didn't feel like interrupting them. So we just came outside. But so, yeah, like I said, this is the very first video on my channel that I'm almost positive, the very first video that has comments enabled. So feel free to comment, and the very first person to comment, the very first person to A, comment on the video, and B, the very first commenter ever on the channel will get a personal shout out in the next video. So yeah, everyone have a amazing day, and keep on baking.